Hey guys, welcome back to the second episode of Let the Albums Talk, where we talk about some of my favorite rock and metal albums released over the years. We talk about what makes them special for me and have an open discussion in the comments and let me know what makes these albums great for you. So, today for the second episode, we are talking about Hybrid Theory by Linkin Park. Now, I picked this album today because I want to talk about how this album changed my life and why it's so special to me. Like any 90s kid who grew up in the 2000s, I think this album has made a huge impact on all of us, and rightfully so. So, a quick brief about this album. Hybrid Theory was released in the year 2000 with members obviously Chester Bennington, Mike Shinoda, Brad Delson, Rob Burden, Johan. The album was produced by Don Gilmore and mixed by Andy Wallace, who happens to be one of my favorite mixers out there. So audio engineers, you guys will know what I'm talking about. So Hybrid Theory went number 2 on the US Billboard 200 charts. It went certified platinum 12 times. Crawling won a Grammy for the best hard rock performance, which made the album the best selling album of all time since Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction. In today's terms, that would make Linkin Park's Hybrid Theory as popular as Drake. So Linkin Park managed to hit the mainstream media and dominate it for years to come. Now, a quick story about how I came across this album. One of my neighbors, he was heavily into nu metal at the time, and I had no experience in nu metal, and this was probably in the year maybe 2003 or 2004. So my neighbor gives me this cassette tape, and back then we used to listen on cassette tapes. Anyway, so he gave me this album and he asked me to listen to it. So prior to this, the heaviest stuff that I heard was probably Metallica. So now he gives me this cassette tape and I put it on and I listened to it. And from the first song, which happens to be Paper Cut, I think my reality changed. I think what I believed music was capable of being completely changed, because I had never heard a sound like this before. It was new, it was fresh, it was completely different from anything I'd heard. Yes, new metal bands like Slipknot, Korn, Snot, they did exist before that, but I had not heard any of them back then. So this was my introduction to new metal, and immediately I was hooked. I couldn't figure out how some of these sounds were made on this album, and everybody knows about Chester's vocals. Like, it just blew my mind. And also the harmony with Mike Shinoda's rapping, it was something I'd never heard before, and it was truly life-changing for me. And since then I have been a huge fan, and yeah, forever Linkin Park. So personally, some of the songs that make the album great, I think pretty much all the songs from start to finish are amazing. But my favorites would be Paper Cut, One Step Closer, With You, Points of Authority, Crawling, Runaway, In the End, and A Place for My Head. If you were a 90s kid growing up in the 2000s, you probably had an MP3 player, and you probably had at least 3 songs in those MP3 players, because again, we didn't have enough space back then. So yeah, I think Linkin Park played a huge role for all of us growing up in the 2000s, and it definitely inspired a lot of the modern new metal musicians as well. Even bands like Bring Me the Horizon, who are still active to date and who are still killing it, take a lot of inspiration from Linkin Park. So the album Hybrid Theory originally was the name of the band prior to Chester Bennington's arrival. The group ultimately had to change the name of the band due to another Welsh band at the time being present called Hybrid, but they still decided to call the album Hybrid Theory. Now, the album kicks off with the song Paper Cut, iconic intro, and if you were to sum up Linkin Park, that would be the song. Mike Shinoda states, "To me, the 2 songs that were the most important were Paper Cut and In the End." Paper Cut was all of the identity of the band packed into one song. So, to me, Paper Cut encompassed the best of both worlds for Linkin Park, being the rapping and Chester's incredible vocals. Now, One Step Closer. This is one of my favorite songs in the album, hands down. And what makes the song so great for me is the rawness, the aggression, and the emotion. It is so raw, it is so aggressive, and again a certified headbanger and one of the greatest rock anthems of all time. Funny story, the aggression of the album came from the conflicts with the label and the producers while recording. So at the time, Warner Brothers was unhappy with the way the album was going, with the rapping and the vocals. So they kept expressing their concerns to Don Gilmore, the producer of the album, and they were trying to change the sound of the album. So Shut Up, the part Shut Up When I'm Talking to You, was inspired by Rage Against the Machine, and Chester has dedicated that part to Don Gilmore, basically asking him to shut up and let the band do their own thing. This is the magic about this song. There is a true emotion, there is a real story behind the song, and which gives it so much life and so much anger, so much aggression, and makes it freaking amazing. So the next two tracks, With You and Points of Authority, similar vibe, similar anthemic hooks and riffs. Points of Authority has one of the best riffs and chorus sections in the album as well. Now we go to the next song, Crawling. Comes approximately halfway across the album, and it's a breath of fresh air because it sounds quite different from all the songs. Again, clearly there's a reason why it's the most popular track in the album and the reason it got a Grammy. Filled with emotion, the song talks about struggle and depression, and I think this is one of the most heartfelt songs of Linkin Park all time. Now we look back and realize what Chester was trying to tell us, and it truly is a timeless classic and a great music video as well. And yeah, Linkin Park had some really cool music videos, I think, which sort of lacks nowadays. Or maybe it's the way we consume music is so different now. We don't hold that so near and dear to us anymore. But yeah, pretty cool stuff. Now, songs like Runaway and A Place for My Head, again, great songs. A Place for My Head has a very iconic intro, and I think every guitarist at some point has tried to learn that. We used to play that in school all the time. Yeah, great songs overall, and another fun fact, A Place for My Head was the first song written in the album. So as a band, that was the first ever piece of music that they put together. So if you want to listen to the true nature of Linkin Park in its purest form, you go back to this song, Place for My Head. So I want to close off talking about one of the most iconic songs in rock and metal history, which is In the End. Everybody knows this song, the whole world knows this song. Tons of artists have made really crap remixes of this song. So what makes this song so special to me is that this song is featured towards the end of the album, and if you want somebody to really remember your music and remember your album, you have to close and you have to finish the album with probably some of the most iconic tracks that you can present. Now Mike Shinoda states that we had a bunch of tracks that we really liked, but we knew we needed something else that was a next level kind of song, and this is what the song is. It is next level in terms of the arrangement, in terms of the emotion in the song, the lyrics. I think Linkin Park have showcased how dynamic they can be as a band through this album. With waves of emotions and variation in the productions and arrangements, I think this song, for most people, was the highlight of the album. Although Crawling won a Grammy for the best hard rock performance, I think In the End stood the test of time and achieved a sort of immortal status. So, what makes this album so special overall for me are the songs Paper Cut, One Step Closer, Points of Authority, In the End, and Crawling. But Linkin Park is so much more than just a heavy metal band. They have so much emotion, they have such great songwriting skills, their arrangements are out of this world. They truly were one of the greatest and the most groundbreaking artists to have come out in the 2000s. Linkin Park was so much more than just a band. They represented an entire culture of kids that grew up in the 2000s, and a lot of us learned how to feel through this music. A lot of us learned how to express emotions through this music. They were more than just hard-hitting riffs. They did, however, come up with some of the greatest riffs of all time. They came up with some of the most groundbreaking song arrangements and production. And I would like to point out that Andy Wallace, the mix engineer behind the sound of this album, is another reason why this album sounds so great. He truly understood what the band was about and what their sound was about, and was able to translate their emotion and their energy onto the record. So Hybrid Theory till date is still one of the most revered albums amongst musicians, amongst music listeners, and again has stood the test of time, making it a classic and a timeless record. People still to date can listen to Hybrid Theory, and I'm guaranteeing you, even if you haven't heard it, listen to it and you will know why this album is so great. And when I think of Linkin Park, I think of my childhood. Everybody in school was listening to Linkin Park. Everybody in school was obsessed with Linkin Park, and rightfully so, because what truly I believe makes this band stand out is the fact that you can hum all of their songs. Good songs are the songs that you can hum even after you finish listening to it, and you can hum all of Linkin Park's songs. And I think Linkin Park's songs, and especially in this album and Meteora, they have more than enough melody and emotion and feel to live in everyone's hearts and minds forever. So thank you for tuning into this episode. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did enjoy it, please like, comment and subscribe. Every little piece of support goes a long way. And let me know in the comments why this album is special to you and what makes this album great for you. Also, let me know if there are albums that you would like me to talk about and my experience. And yeah, feel free to discuss in the comments, and see you next time.